Hi guys, Mrs. Stanton here. We're going to be doing things a little bit different today on student activity sheet 4. We're going to be using some of the problems and we'll talk through some of the key points, but we're going to kind of be doing our notes on a separate piece of paper here. Okay, and your teachers will go through this a little bit more. So today we're on student activity sheet 4 and we are going to explore the topic of factoring. Now there's several different ways that people teach factoring, and you'll even see the variation amongst your different Algebra 1 teachers here at Penn. The way that I am going to teach you today looks very similar, but you may hear me say some different words that they may say, but it's good for you to hear all the different ways to do it. So first thing that we need to talk about is what the heck is factoring, okay? When we factor a polynomial, what we're doing is we are going to express the polynomial as a product that's multiplication of other polynomials. Most commonly, we're going to see two binomials. What this is we are going to simply undo what we did in student activity sheet 2 when we were multiplying. We're going to put it back into the multiplication form of it. Okay. So before we can get going here, we're not going to use algebra tiles for this. Instead, I'm going to teach you about factoring here, and you may have seen a little bit of this from your teachers already. Okay. What I use is called the airplane method. And you don't have to write this part down, but airplane method, some teachers may call it the X factor. They may call it diamond problems. Okay, all of these guys are essentially the same exact methods. There's just a couple different variations of wording that we may say amongst ourselves. Okay. So the biggest thing I want us to take note of here is that when we have a quadratic, okay, it's always going to be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, you always want to make sure it's in this order. Your a, your b, and your c are going to be plain numbers. The x squared will be there. The x will be there, and your third term does not have a variable with it. Okay, your a term is always going to be the squared term. Your b term is always going to be the single variable, and again, your c term will always just be a plain number, a constant by itself. Okay, so the first step that we want to take when we factor, okay, step 1 is always going to be to factor a GCF. Okay, factor a GCF out. What this is, guys, what is GCF? That stands for greatest common factor. Okay, greatest common factor here. Okay, this is with my airplane. Before people take off in their airplane, this is step 1. This is like your pre-check. You need to check your airplane before starting. Okay, always check before starting your plane. Okay, always check before starting. Okay, now when we do this, your greatest common factor may be a number. It may be just the number 1. If it's a 1, you're good to go. You're ready for takeoff. If it is bigger than the number 1, we'll have to do some other things, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. The second thing that we are going to do, we are going to get our propeller set and ready to go. And what we're going to do here is we're going to find our magic numbers. Okay, find our magic numbers. Now you may be saying, Mrs. Stan, what the heck is a magic number? Well, guys, these numbers are going to take you far in life. They are magical. They will make you do math with a way that you never thought you could do math before. Okay, that's what makes them so magical. Well, what the heck are these magic numbers? Well, here's our propeller for our airplane. Okay, what number you're going to put in the top? Okay, in the top, you are going to take your A and multiply it to your C. So you're going to do A times C. Okay, and you may have done this. Your teacher should have been working some of these diamond problems with you. So here we're going to multiply A times C. And then What goes down here? We're just going to drop the number down, the number in the B spot down. So you multiply the outsides, drop down your inside. Okay. Now these magic numbers, okay, they are magical, 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 magical. They are two numbers that go right here. Okay. And what these numbers have to do, these numbers have to be able to multiply together to make this top number. But then if we add them together, they have to add up to this B term. Okay. And then what we're going to go ahead and do here is we are going to put our wheels down. Okay, right? We can't go down the runway unless we have our wheels. So we're going to divide these numbers by A. Okay, divide these numbers by A. And then simplify. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, divide the numbers by A or by your greatest common factor. Okay, and then we are going to get ready to take off here. Okay. So step 3. Okay, step 3. Okay, we are going to put into our parentheses. Okay, put into our parentheses, or what we'll call our binomials. Okay, so with this, we're going to say, okay, and here's our two sets of wings here on the airplane. Okay, we're going to say X plus my magic number divided by A, and X plus, oops, got to keep my color straight here, X plus my magic number divided by A. Now, here's the thing. We don't fly with our wheels down. Our wheels, that's our A term here, gets us down the runway. But once we take off, we have to put our wheels up. So step 4, okay? Step 4, we're going to put our wheels up. Okay? You may hear some of your teachers call this the divide and slide, bottoms up. There's lots of ways that we call it. It's all the same thing. We are going to take this A term once we've simplified this and bring the wheels up so we can fly. And what we end up with for our final answer is AX plus our magic number times AX plus our magic numbers. And we'll go ahead and do this with a couple of problems. Okay, so let's refer back to our activity sheet. Okay, when you see something that is just two terms such as this, okay, your very first thing that we need to do, just like we said before, is going to be factor out a GCF. Okay, when I look at these two variables here, when I look at this first problem, these two terms here, what do they both have in common? If anything, they both share an X. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide an X out. Well, if I take away an X from that X squared term, I'm left with just X. I'm going to bring that minus sign down. And if I take away an X from this minus 4X, I'm left with just a 4. Okay. Now I no longer have a squared term. Therefore, I do not need to do the whole airplane method. Okay, we don't have squared terms anymore. Therefore, we don't have to do all of this. Again, that's why you always want to start with factoring out a GCF. Okay, but let's take a look at this one. It's not so obvious what they both have in common, but using our math skills that we have already, I know that 3 can go into 6. They share a common number, a common factor. Okay, so what can be divided out of both terms? That would be a 3. And when we do this, 6x divided by 3 leaves me with a 2x, and 3 divided by 3 leaves me with 1. Okay, again, I don't have a squared term anymore, so I can go on. I'm done with that problem. Let's go on to the next page. Okay, so now on C, okay, now you see that we've got a squared term here. Okay, so again, step one that I'm going to do here, I'm going to factor out a GCF. I'm going to check my plane over for landing. And when I do that, I see it's one and done. I'm good to go. Okay, so step two, let's get our propeller going here. Okay, and I told you guys multiply our outside numbers. Again, Beyonce, if it's single, then you got to put a 1 with it. 1 times C. So 1 times 6 is 6. Drop down my B. I'm going to drop the 5 down. Okay, I am looking for two numbers that can multiply to make 6, but add to 5. Okay, and those magic numbers, my magic numbers, 2 and 3. Let's check it. 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 plus 3 equals 5. We're good to go. Okay. Make sure my wheels are down, ready to go. Okay. 2 over 1, 3 over 1. Those simplify to just a 3 and a 2. We are good to go for takeoff here. Let's go ahead and put them into our binomials. Okay. And we're going to say x plus 2 and x plus 3. Our wheels are already up. We are good to go for takeoff. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this problem now. With this one, again, let's check it over for landing. We're good to go. It's a 1. So let's get our propeller ready here. Put this over here. Multiply the outside. 1 times 9 is 9. Drop down my middle term here. My magic numbers, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to make 9, but add to 6. My only numbers that make 9 are going to be 9 and 1. That doesn't make 6. Or 3 and 3. Double check it. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 plus 3 is 6. We're good to go. Divide by our A term. And that simplifies to just a 3. We are good to go there. Ready for takeoff. Let's get this airplane down the runway. And we've got x plus 3 and x plus 3. What do I notice here, guys? This is what we call a special case. When we are multiplying by the same exact terms, this really means that we are squaring it because they are the same. So what does that mean? You could either leave it like this, or you may have a stickler of a teacher and they may make you write it like this. These mean the same things, And let's take a look at part E here. Okay, so on this one, I notice, I don't have a middle term. Okay, what I'm gonna do here, just so you can see this, you're gonna see a shortcut later. Maybe your teacher in class will teach you this, but for now, I'm gonna show you. We don't have a bx term, so I'm gonna rewrite this as ax squared plus 0x minus 4. Okay, when we don't have something, it's a 0. So I'm going to go ahead and check things over. My common term is a 1. We're done. We're ready to go. And let's fill out our propeller here. Multiply the outside. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Drop down my middle term. Okay, so this is one of those special cases here, guys. We are looking for two numbers that can multiply to make negative 4, but add to 0. Okay, with this, the only way we can get a 0, guys, is we are multiplying these same exact numbers, and one's a plus and one's a minus. For example, positive 1 and negative 1 make 0. Positive 2 and negative 2 make 0. So what are factors of a 4, a negative 4, that are identical? That would be a positive 2 and negative 2. And we can check it. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. We're good. And 2 minus 2 is 0. We're good to go there. Okay, divide by my A term, which is just 1. That means we got a negative 2 and a positive 2. Let's put it into our parentheses. We've got x plus 2 times x minus 2. Again, this is a special case here. We call this a difference of squares. Difference of squares. And up here, we call this one a perfect square. Okay, so again, coming down here, we're going to cross off number 3. What is the first thing that we can do that we should do when factoring an expression is check for a greatest common factor. Always, 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 guys, make sure our plane is ready to go. Okay, we are going to jump to page 204. Okay, page 204. So here you can see this time my front term, my A term is not 1. Let's see how this works with that. So just like before, step 1, factor out a GCF. Always check before starting. Okay, when I look at 3, 11, and 6, it's a 1. I'm done. We don't have to factor anything out of that. Step 2, okay, find my magic numbers. Get my propeller set here. Multiply the outside. 6 times 3 is 18. Drop down my inside. We are looking for 2 numbers that can multiply to make an 18, but add to positive 11. Okay, 2 numbers that multiply to make 18, but add to 11. That's going to be a positive 9 and a positive 2. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 plus 2 is 11. Divide by A. Okay, divide by my A term. Okay, we are going to have to reduce these fractions. Okay, reduce these fractions. Okay, 2 over 6. We can divide a 2 out of both of those to get 1 over 3. 9 over 6. We can reduce that by 3. We can divide a 3 out of both of those. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So I have my 2 magic numbers here. Okay, my 2 magic numbers. We're going to take them to our airplane, and we've got x plus 3 over 2, and we've got x plus 1 over 3. Okay, we're good here. Plane's ready to go, going down the runway. Bottom up, divide and slide. Put your wheels up. I don't care how you do it. Okay, so we end up with 2x plus 3 and 3x plus 1. Okay, we talked about a perfect square trinomial on the other page, and we talked about a difference of square on the other page. Okay, quickly, I'm just going to go through these right here. Divide a common factor out, and we get x plus 6. That one's good to go. Check for a greatest common factor, and I can show you we pulled out an x. Here, we're going to take out a 2, and I end up with 2 times x minus 6. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and check this one. Okay, my greatest common factor is a 1. It's done, ready to go. Here's my airplane, 2 numbers that multiply to make negative 14, but add to negative 5. My 2 magic numbers in this case are going to be negative 7 and positive 2. Negative 7, positive 2. My factors, x minus 7, x plus 2. Over here, I have a squared term, no common factors, but I'm missing my middle. Missing my middle. When I make my parentheses here, I got a negative 36 with a 0. What numbers multiply to make negative 36 but add to 0? That's going to be positive 6 and negative 6. This is our difference of squares. So x plus 6, x minus 6. Now this one, check it over. 1, done. Make my propeller here. What multiplies to make 36 but adds to negative 12? That's going to be negative 6 and negative 6. X minus 6 times x minus 6. We can also rewrite this as x minus 6 squared because it is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, this is our difference of squares. This is our perfect square. And then lastly, down here, number 16, check it over. 1, done. Make my propeller 3 times 4 is 12. That adds to 8. My 2 numbers that multiply to 12 but add up to 8, that's going to be positive 6 and positive 2. Divide by A. Divide by A. Divide by A. 2 over 3, that can't be reduced, but 6 over 3 reduces to a 2. We're going to take this to our parentheses. We've got x plus 2. And here we've got 3x plus 2. Okay, bottoms up. Okay, this was a divide by 3, so I took that to the front. And with that, so you can see we've got x plus 3 and 3x plus 2. Okay, and your teacher will go through the rest of those with you.